Here's our last problem for today. I want you to work your way through super quickly. Follow the instruction. We're going to factor those two expressions. Okay, pause it now. Okay, and we're back. So hopefully we remember to factor means write as multiply. And so we should have spent some time in grade 10 kind of building up a little bit of a factoring checklist. And so the first question we tend to ask ourselves on that checklist is, how many terms do we have? We notice that we've got 2 terms. And so we go through that checklist, or that decision-making tree, if you want to think of it that way. The first thing I always look for in both my terms, a common factor. And hopefully we can see that our greatest common factor between 12 and 20 would be a 4, and that both of those terms contain an x, so we can factor out a 4x. If I do factor out a 4x, then I can reverse multiply, if you want to think of it that way. What would I multiply 4 by that gets me back to 12? What would I multiply x by that gets me back to x squared? And now what would I multiply 4 by that got me back to a positive 20? I have an x in my factor. I only need to get back to an x, which means I don't need any more x's. So hopefully we got down to that. We know that we are fully factored because if we take a look inside that other factor that we had to build, we notice that it cannot be factored further. Okay, if you need to pause the video to jump into B on your own, then do so. Otherwise, we're just walking through a solution to that one. Between 42 and 70, maybe I look at that and I go, hey, I got a common factor of 7 that I know goes into both of those. And there's at least an a squared in both of those terms. So if I factor out a 7a squared from the first term, that leaves me with a 6a. And if I factor out a 7 from the 70, that leaves me with a negative 10. And we're good. Okay, I just want you to take another peek. Remember, we know that we are fully factored. If we couldn't factor out anything else from the factor we built, and hopefully you can see that in 6a minus 10, we still have a common factor of 2 in there. Don't ever feel like you have to now erase what you wrote down. No, just factor it out now. So all that means is that I missed my greatest common factor. If I pull out a 2 from both of those terms and simplify it with the 7, the best number that I could have factored out was a 14. I'm just going to bet and say, I don't think that we know our 14 times table off by heart. So no worries, factor out a 2 now. And if I take another 2 out of 6a, that leaves me with 3a. If I take a 2 out of 10, that leaves me with 5. And there we go. Okay, there is a little bit of an introduction to a review of factoring. And as I stated earlier, we're going to go through a couple days of factoring review. Hopefully today's lesson worked to get you to just jump in and try some stuff, regardless of your confidence level with it. That we were able to knock off some rust and we were able to kind of feel more comfortable with this stuff again. I think the only bad part about today, even if you struggled to get through every single problem, the only bad part about today is if you simply waited to see me put a solution up. Anybody can copy a solution down. But our goal is to be able to do this stuff independently, even with like little review. So even if you struggle through every problem today, as long as you were trying them, then I think we had a good day and the day served its purpose. Okay, your job, jump in and play around with some practice. Hopefully it goes well. Okay, good luck.